Happy Valentine's Day, upgraders. Love is in the air, and so is emotional damage. Welcome back to Upgrade Me, the only Valentine's Day special where your date is a two-time Grammy Award-winning musician and your third wheel is a psychiatrist who knows exactly why you keep texting your ex at 2 a.m. Today's guest is the legend himself, Dr. John Tsuang, aka Dr. J.T. Love, the addiction specialist, the human behavior decoder, and the only doc willing to tell you why your situationship is actually a case study. If you have ever wondered, is this love or is this just dopamine with poor lighting? Dr. JT Love is here to ruin your excuses and upgrade your standards. So light your candles, hide your wife, hide your kids, and get ready because this Valentine's Day, we are diagnosing your love life one bad decision at a time on Upgrade Me. Enjoy. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. I'm here with the one and only, the legend, Dr. John Tsuang, aka Dr. JT Love. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thanks for being here. And right off the bat, your wonderful wife of 30 years, Carolyn, chimed in with the greatest opener ever. She said, we have 3 beautiful independent daughters. I myself have done a lot to mature in my life. When's your turn?
Never. I will never mature.
All right. Well, that's a fair answer right off the bat, huh? Okay. Yeah. So... we've been in a multitude of scenarios, everything from tuxedo galas to, hanging out at the shot bars and, shooting the breeze over some beers. I always love your energy, and I've been very curious. What's your philosophy on how you keep your energy up? Are you a big fan of the disco nap? Are you, because I've seen you in morning pickleball all the way up into the late night. What's your secret for such a wonderful energy?
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in enjoy life in general, okay? Live today and do not regret anything, okay? And recently I spoke to a couple of friends and their philosophy is similar to mine. Never say no. Live for the moment, okay? Don't do anything stupid that you might regret later. However, try to enjoy yourself as much as you can because you never know what's around the corner.
100%. 100%. So fill in the blank for me. Life begins at?
Well, I'm an old guy, but I like to say life began for me after I finished my medical residency and started working. And that's when I started actually dating, able to go out, go to some fun places, meet some fun people. And, so when you start having a little bit of money, okay, and when you start having academic titles,
right,
then that's when life is a little bit more fun.
Right, when the chessboard starts playing in your favor.
Correct.
That's what I like to hear. So Caroline suggested that you become more active in your life back in 2011, and was even part of kind of pushing you into joining a 115-year-old fraternity called FF. What was that conversation like, and what did she see in you that needed waking up?
Wow, my wife said that. Okay, so let's go back. So just make sure everybody know, I have 3 daughters. My life dedicated to the medical career. I played basketball in junior high, high school, college. Very active young man that all of a sudden stay home with 3 little daughters. She did not say this, but I ruptured my Achilles at 2001 playing basketball. Okay. After she told me, do not go play basketball. So I had ruptured Achilles, I stay home, wasn't doing much, and that competitive energy just kind of slowly died. And I think some of you might realize that if you play, competitive sports for many years. Yeah. At home, it was 3 daughters, a wife. When I wake up in the morning, I always have to look around to see who might be in crisis and who to avoid. The only other testosterone at home was a dog, a boy dog. Yeah. So then I think my wife felt that I was losing a little bit my gusto, my manhood. And we have a lot of friends who joined this Chinese fraternity. And one of her good friends kind of told her, hey, maybe your husband should join this fraternity. And, she gave me the blessing and I went for it.
Awesome. Yeah, I can see that. A lot of our identities are tied to what we can accomplish and what we can do physically, right, on the world, whether it's music or sports or giving public speaking. So that definitely hits home a lot. You're a specialist in human behavior, physical and mental addictions. What is the secret to doing drugs and not getting addicted?
That's a Nobel Prize question, and you shouldn't ask me that. But anyways, so I went to medical school at Iowa. I did a medical internship in New York, and then went to UC San Diego to do my residency, and also did a 2-year fellowship in addiction medicine. So we study human addiction and addiction behaviors. Now, there are a lot of dopamine, serotonin stuff that I don't want to get into. However, everything in life, I like to say it's always the genes and the environment. You're blessed with some genes, but you're cursed with some genetics that you inherited from your
nature and nurture.
Yeah, from your parents. However, your environment also play a very important factor on what happened to you. They've done a lot of studies, genetic studies for alcoholic, what are called monozygotic twins. So these are identical genetic people, okay, that were adopted out, okay? And then they followed them up many years later and found out that if one brother becomes an alcoholic, guess what's the percentage of the other brother become alcoholic?
Well, how high?
50% only.
Oh.
If it's purely genetics, it would be 100%, right?
Sure, yeah.
If it's environmental, it would be 0 because they were raised in totally different environment. So this is a very important study documenting not only alcohol, but a lot of drugs, sexual behaviors, gambling, smoking are both genetic and environmentally combined together, influencing people. So, short answer to your question, if you have a family history of addictive behaviors, you better be a little bit careful in terms of how much you drink, how much you smoke, how much pot you smoke, how wild you go outside, and gambling and, sexual behaviors. You just got to be careful because there are some type of genetic component to addictive behaviors.
Wow. That's a whole episode in itself. Do you believe in healthy addictions?
Healthy addiction to a certain degree, I do believe. For example, I'm addicted to working out. I work out every day. I run 3 miles every other day. On the days I don't work out, I go to the gym, go on treadmill for 45 minutes, and also do Stairmasters.
Okay.
In addition, I play pickleball on a regular basis.
Yeah.
I'm too old to play basketball or these other stuff. And I think that is a healthy type of addiction, okay? But by definition, addiction is when you start to impair your personal life. It causing you to miss work, causing your family to be upset with you, affecting you like personally, physically, as well as emotionally. My feeling is my workout is not affecting that aspect of my life. So if you want to call it healthy addiction, you could call it that, but in my mind, it's healthy living.
Healthy living. Yeah, thriving.
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely. So we heard that when YouTube got its start years back, you and your students and colleagues were shocked that medical enthusiasts and professionals were gaining global online fame by sharing their stories and suggestions on the internet. Here we are today. As a bet, you started your own YouTube channel and you broke down some of the pillars of sustainable relationships. Is that where the moniker Dr. JT Love came from?
Yes. Now, you need to know that since I was a child, I always very interested in observing people's behavior. I would just sit there and watch people and try to figure out what's going on with them.
Right.
Now, I'm a psychiatrist, but that does not mean I can read people's mind. Contrary to most of you think. Psychologists, psychiatrists, we cannot read people's mind, but we can kind of predict what your behavior might be from your past behavior and also kind of observe and hear your life story. Okay? So one day I was doing medical rounds. I think most of you have seen TV, ER, doctors doing rounds. So I'm a psychiatrist, so I was doing rounds with my medical students, social worker, psychologists, and residents. And they were quoting this YouTube guy saying, wow, he said this, he said that. And me, being a big mouth, I just said, anybody can do that. Okay, and then my resident and medical students said, Dr. Tsuang, we dare you to do it. I said, give me 5 minutes. After we finish rounds, get your camera ready, give me a topic, and let's talk about it. I will be able to do a talk for 5-10 minutes. They did not believe me. So I said, what do you want to talk about? And them being young, we want to talk about relationships.
Of course. Yeah.
Relationships, what's important in relationship? I said, no problem. Give me 5 minutes. There we go. And so we shot a video. Hello, YouTuber. This is Dr. J.T. Love. Today, I'm going to talk about relationships. It's probably 5-10 minutes long. I talk without any notes. I just ramble. And, and they were all laughing. They thought it was great. And then I said, well, what should we do with it? They said, let's upload it on YouTube. I said, okay, fine. I said, what should I call myself? They said, well, you're JT. I said, yeah. They said, how about JT Love? I go, Dr. JT Love.
There you go.
Yeah. Unfortunately, if you search JT on YouTube, it's Justin
Timberlake.
Not John Tsuang.
Right, not yet.
Not yet.
After this episode launches.
Not yet. But it was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. You've described yourself, speaking of nature and nurture, you described yourself as a proud product of genes and environment. Growing up in a family where medicine was basically the family business. When did you first feel like becoming a doctor was your own choice and not just following the Tsuang family script?
Okay, so for everybody's knowledge, my dad, they have 4 boys in the family, and there are 4 girls in the family. All 4 boys became doctors. All 4 girls married doctors, because that's what my grandmother believed. That's the way to achieve success in life. Especially
be a doctor or marry one.
Yeah, I guess I should have married one instead of become one. Anyways, ever since we were little, I think there was a, quote, unwritten expectation, especially among Chinese, Taiwanese, Asian parents, kind of like, you need to do well in school. The model minority myth. And so they keep on kind of saying, you need to do well. Now, consciously, they never say you need to be a doctor. But unconsciously, they kind of try to play with your mind, influencing you,
Right.
Oh, you can do this after you go to medical school. Oh, you can do this. You can do that. And then my dad, he was a well-known psychiatrist. And so I started doing like paperwork, research for his publications, So I started getting into all this stuff without knowing that unconsciously he was impacting me.
Yeah.
Now, I resisted a great deal. I didn't want to be a doctor. When I was in high school, I played, many sports. I had so much fun. I didn't study very much. In college, first year, I got bad grades. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just enjoying myself. And then, after a while, I kind of slowly say, wow, I got to get serious in life,
Yeah.
I don't know what I want to do. One day I had a serious talk with my dad. My dad said, what would you like to do? I said, I want to be a baseball coach. I was a good baseball player. My dad looked at me and said, you live in America. I said, yes. There's not too many Asian professional baseball or basketball coaches. I said, yeah, so what? I'll be the first one. My dad said, well, how about this? You go to medical school, you get your MD,
right.
After that, you decide whatever you want to do.
Yep.
And I said, oh, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Again, genetics, but environmental influence.
Yeah.
Kind of guide you. So I'm a firm believer in guiding your kids, but not dictating to them tell them what to do, but kind of guide them.
Yeah, I think the musical equivalent of that, or the parallel, that I've heard is that Asian parents will tell their kids, you have all the choices in front of you. It's up to you. You could play the violin or the piano or both.
Right.
Eh?
Right. Look all the options I'm giving you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Look
it's up to you. You still
Yeah.
choose. Yeah. You're in charge.
Yeah.
So you mentioned your dad, the legend, Dr. Ming Tsuang. He's an internationally renowned schizophrenia and genetics researcher from Harvard. Almost all of your aunts and uncles were in medicine. What was the most intimidating part about growing up in that sphere, and what's one way it prepared you for your own career?
I think a lot of Asians would appreciate this. It's kind of behind your head pressure to do well and pressure to succeed. Yeah. Okay. Now, famously, my dad quoted this to me when we were young, when my sister and I were young. Oh, easy. Life is easy. Just go get your MD, your JD, or your PhD. After that, whatever you want to do is fine. Okay. So end up, my sister and I are MDs, and I have another sister who's a JD. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, we kind of fulfill our parents, wishes, but we're also very happy doing what we're doing now. Right. Okay. I think most of you kind of will admit, like if you're a little bit older, like me, you will kind of admit, wow, my mom and dad were right about a lot of things they said, even though I ignored it, right? Life is interesting. What was your question again?
No, I completely can resonate with that. I do a lot of workshops in music, and they're generally geared towards the students, but we get so many questions from the parents, and one of the most popular ones is, how can I push my kid to learn music and excel at it without being too tyrannical? And I always say to them, well, make the activity available until they're 20. So if that means that you get them a piano or a violin or whatever available in their dorm room while they're in college, or just keep, don't sell the piano as soon as they go off to college, like these are kind of key elements that will allow them to get over the hump and of exactly what you mentioned, like where sometimes you realize your parents were right, or you start to have your first realizations of regret. I had my first times with this kind of regret when I got to college, and I realized there was kids that had been practicing every day diligently. I was in a music school in New York, and I was like, wow, these guys are really like on top of it. I better, I can't turn back the hands of time, but I'd really better, put my butt in gear. And then the second thing, I was at the Manhattan School of Music, and right up the block was Columbia. I remember I joined the Japanese Students League, and I went into the first meeting, and there was kids from all over the world, from Africa, from Europe, from Japan, from the States, Canada, wherever, right? And they all spoke like journalist level Japanese, and I was just like, all right, I'm gonna bow out of this one. And that's when I also had my first regret about language.
Right, and that's a very good point, because I'm sure a lot of people out there who grew up that their parents maybe speak a different language, right? Yep. So when our kids were young, we tried to take them to Chinese school. Right. Chinese school happens Saturday morning for 4 or 5 hours. Yeah. Do you think they want to go? No. They like put up a humongous fight, right? Right. So we finally gave up. Guess what? Nowadays they're blaming us for not teaching them to speak Chinese.
And they're tagging along with you on your trips abroad.
Right. And they love it. They love it in Taiwan, in Hong Kong, Japan. But they blame us because they said, how come we don't speak Chinese? Well, we tried to help you guys learn. Right. But they didn't want to learn. But guess what? Yeah. Now they want to learn. Right. Now they're motivated. So this is very important.
Yeah, in their 20s.
Yeah. This is very important points to the parents, because I'm sure there are a lot of tiger parents out there. Mm-hmm. You want to push your kids to do sports, to do music. But you know what's interesting? My observation is you can only push them so far. Once they get to high school, college age, no matter how hard you push, they're going to do it or not do it.
Right, yeah.
They're going to decide.
Yes.
But interestingly, a lot of time, when they get a little bit older, they might come back and actually enjoy doing that, even though before. My best example, my daughter was a national ranked fencer.
Oh, yeah.
But she quit. She just did not enjoy it, right? Because fencing is the latest sports to get your kids into Ivy League.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay? And then she didn't want to do it anymore. And we were spending thousands of dollars flying everywhere to go into fencing tournament. Yeah. So I'm like, fine, you don't want to do it. And now she's in college. Guess what she's doing now? Fencing. Life is interesting.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, don't tell me what to do. I tell me what to do, even if it's what you told me to do.
Yeah.
So, you had a very unique upbringing. You were one of the very first and few Chinese Americans to play varsity football and basketball in the state of Iowa. And you walked into gyms where entire crowds went silent because they had never seen an Asian player before. What did those first few seconds feel like in your body before your brain could even catch up?
Okay. So to put it in the context, this was back in the late 70s, after the Vietnam conflict.
Right.
I grew up in Iowa, where I was probably the only Asian in the whole state of Iowa. So, and football is different because football, you're hiding under the helmet.
Right.
I remember tackling somebody and they broke their elbow and the other team went to the ref and said, "Ref, that's no fair. That guy used kung fu on my our teammate." I was like, that's a bunch of bull. No kung fu, man.
Yeah.
I just tackled the guy. So football is very different because you're hiding, under your helmet.
Yeah.
Basketball is a whole different story. Okay. Now, in the state of Iowa, you got a couple of big cities, but other than that, it's out in the middle of nowhere.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this after Vietnam, some of these people probably had relatives that fought in Vietnam or died in Vietnam. And they never seen an Asian. All Asians look alike to them.
Everybody's from Vietnam at that point.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Viet Cong, they're gonna shoot you.
Yeah.
So I remember, I'm not gonna name the town's name, but I went out there. You're a boy. Boys don't say much, but you absorb a lot. And the whole stadium just kind of shut down. Everybody looking at you. I mean, I cannot describe the emotion I had back then, other than just. You have to block everything out, right? And just focus on your warm-up and on the game. But I'm sure there was a lot of fear, a lot of sadness, but you didn't know what to say, what to do, because nobody you can talk to. You can't talk to your teammates because they're all white. Right. They have no idea what's going on with you. I talked to Jeremy Lin about this. I'm sure he can tell you how he felt, right? I can't talk to my parents. I'm a boy, teenagers. Who can you talk to? Right. Nobody. But I'm sure, I hate to describe myself as a diamond, but I'm sure I was kind of like a diamond that's polished by all these significant events in my life that make me what I am today. Right. So for me now, I'm sure I panicked. I'm sure I was scared. Yep. But for me now, speaking in front of 2,000 doctors, no big deal. Okay, because I've done it. I've done it in a very hostile environment. Okay, so I think it shaped me to be what I am today. Yep. However, if you want me to go back to that time, I'm sure I don't want to go back. I'm sure that it would probably traumatize me, right? And it's a very scary situation when you go on to the gym, 2,000 people, totally silent. They're looking at you. After a while, they start calling you names, tossing pennies at you, trying to spit at you, and that kind of stuff.
Jesus. Wow. What a time. Your parents are conservative educators. They came from that structured, traditional world. You built a career around breaking taboos, addiction psychiatry, dual diagnosis conversations. These are all conversations that Asian American families don't typically have. How much of your work is about doing what they couldn't do in their generation?
Well, I do not describe myself as a rebellious person. A lot of times kids rebel and do exactly opposite of what their parents want them to do. Yeah. Okay. The reason I found addiction medicine interesting was because it was something that it was the last frontier of psychiatry. Nobody know anything about addiction medicine. Okay. Alcoholics, drug addicts, they're just bad people. They just need to wake up. Okay. And so I found that that's an area that was very interesting for me in terms of research. So I did a lot of research in that area. It was also an area I felt that I can contribute to the medical science, which I did. Interestingly, if you notice, I went to UCSD for training. That's as far away from Harvard and Boston as possible.
Right, diagonally.
Right?
Yep.
Right?
Across the country.
And guess what? Eventually, my dad actually went from Harvard to UCSD after I left UCSD to go to UCLA.
Right.
So was he chasing after me? No, he wasn't chasing after me. But
chasing warm weather.
Yeah, he was chasing warm weather. But he appreciated, what we have in California. A lot of kids actually follow their father's footsteps. Okay, especially in a lot of Asian cultures, a lot of kids go into medicine because their dad or mom were in medicine.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and a lot of our friends here in Asia also are doing family business, taking over family company.
Right.
I wonder if it's out of obligations or it's out of their own interests or what, I mean, I hate to have people
Something in the genetics, as you mentioned.
Yeah, it may be,
yeah.
But also guilt is a big thing in the Asian population.
Okay.
So a lot of time parents guilt their kids into doing things. Okay. So I mean, am I happy jumping up and down every day going to work? No, but I'm happy that the work I'm doing, I'm helping people. Sure. Okay. A lot of people here taking over their parents' companies, doing the same thing. Are you satisfied with the work you're doing? I don't know. How happy are you in your current state? In your career development. So these are very complicated questions that people need to ask themselves.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I felt like it was strange that a lot of the classmates I had didn't really leave our small nucleus of a suburb of San Francisco. But now I see the beauty in their kind of continuing their parents' role, even if it's doing something like a vocational type of career, working at like the phone company or the electric company or whatever. I do think there is something to it, right? That kind of genetic inertia. Well,
but also habituation, because what happened is people are comfortable in living in a consistent environment. For a lot of people, they don't want big changes. Right. Okay, so my kids grew up in Manhattan Beach, and they call it the bubble of Manhattan Beach.
Sure.
Everything's great in Manhattan Beach, but when you go outside of it, you're like, oh my God, the homeless people around, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So people are comfortable doing certain things, but comfort also brings stagnant parts of life. So you get stuck in certain things. Okay, so like people ask my dad, why would you have a good career in Taiwan and then want to leave and go to U.S.? Right. I mean, that's a humongous change. You don't speak the language that well. You're taking your kids, your wife, and move everybody, immigrating to the U.S. Why do people do that kind of things? Well, I'm sure it was good for his career, but also good for us as kids. He didn't want us to grow up under the pressure like some of the kids have here in Taiwan.
I see. Or too much in the bubble as well. So speaking of going abroad and expanding your horizons, your CV shows you've given grand rounds presentations in Taiwan and Brazil, Mexico, China, Japan, Australia, Colombia, literally across continents. You've pioneered research on dual diagnosis in specific populations like schizophrenic cocaine users and led NIDA-funded studies totaling millions. What drives you to take your work global when you could have stayed comfortably at UCLA? And what did you learn from treating dual diagnosis patients in different cultures that American psychiatry doesn't teach?
Wow, you did a lot of research on me. I'm very impressed that you actually read my CV.
Yeah, we read a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I think U.S. being the leader of world in terms of academia, medicine, business, and a lot of other things, we need to give back to the world. Okay, I really enjoy the traveling around the world, giving many different lectures. Let's be honest. I mean, when you go to South America and you see alcohol issues all over the place, when you even go to Europe, France, everybody drinking like a fish, and they're like, oh, that's no problem. It is a problem. Because later on, you got tons of cirrhosis of the liver due to alcohol. You have a lot of, ulcers. You have a lot of cancers, all this stuff. I believe in giving back to the society. Okay. So my traveling, one, I enjoyed it. Two, it was a lot of fun, talking to people from all different culture. But three, giving back to the society on the knowledge that we have learned in the U.S. It's extremely important to me. And it was, you like travel. You like to travel.
Love it. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. Different environment, different situation. Life is about learning. Life is not stagnation. So I really enjoy different, atmosphere. Look at the Chinese fraternity, FF, right?
Yeah.
We give back to the society. We try to do services. We try to do volunteer work. That's all extremely important. Okay? So, life is too short for you just to sit in one spot and just kind of vegetate and continue to do what you're doing. You need to go out there and, explore and have a great life.
Absolutely. Amen. So we don't want to get too deep into the inner workings of the social group FF and its beyond its cultural preservation and service to the service to communities. But in some of your publications, you talked about joining the Asian Professional Exchange and also the FF Brotherhood, and feeling like you finally found people who looked like you and shared your values. As a psychiatrist, what do you think Brotherhood and Fellowship do for mental health that individual therapy can't do alone?
I think Brotherhood and being with people that kind of share your same values and everything is extremely important for your mental health. Yep. Okay. Now we have extroverts and introverts. Okay. But social isolation in general is not good for people. Interestingly, as I mentioned, I grew up in Iowa and there were nobody that looked like me. Okay. I was attracted to come out of California because, there are a lot more Asians, a lot more diversity in California. Okay. I was attracted to go to Japan, Taiwan, China, Hong Kong, because there are a lot of people who look like me. But interestingly, I don't know if you feel the same way, but when I'm in Asian countries, if I don't speak their language, even though I look like them, I don't feel like them. I cannot connect. So for example, in Taiwan, when I'm walking on the street, I'm sure I don't stand out. But when I see a white guy, a white lady, I almost gonna go up and say, "Hey, what's up?" Right. Because I know I can speak their language. Right. Versus I see some Chinese guy and I start speaking, they know I'm not from
Take it back to Iowa.
Asia, right? Problem is when we're in the States, when you're in Iowa, people look at you kind of funny. Right. And you can speak the same language, but you don't feel like you belong.
Yeah.
That makes sense, right? So
foreign, yeah.
So to find an organization or people that you can relate with is extremely important in my book. You need, social support. You need people that can understand. So in a therapy session, the therapist might say, "Oh, I understand," but do they really understand? Not really. Okay. So a lot of times when I refer my Asian patients, I refer them to Asian therapists just for that sole purpose. Yeah. Okay. If I have Jewish patients, a lot of time I refer them to see Jewish therapists because they know. Now, is it better to have therapy than not therapy? Of course it is. But to have therapy with somebody who really understands the impact of culture, it's extremely important.
Yeah. L'chaim.
You're so bad.
You gotta keep it in the inner circle there, or the inner star. So speaking of getting to know oneself and interacting with communities, societies, your wife Carolyn's been in financial and wealth management with high-profile entertainers. She observes powerful people and how they operate daily. What has she taught you about power, leadership, and ambition that your academic world didn't prepare you for?
Her world is totally different than my world. Yeah. Okay, my world would respect professors, respect colleagues, their publication, their specialty. Okay, her world is, there are a lot of, well, not saying we don't have politics, but her world has a lot more political things. Like there's a lot of connections. There's a lot of not infighting, but there are a lot of, I know that person, So she's in the business management business, right? She teach people how to not invest their money, but the value of money, how to diversify, how to, balance your checking book, how to do essentially really the value of money, okay? Yeah. For us in the medical field, we don't give a, what do we know about money, right? We make money and then we give it to our money manager or to the wife and they take care of it. What my wife has taught me is she's extremely smart with money. She knows the importance of money and the importance of investing in money, okay? And also money is not the end of everything. Happiness is also important.
Sure.
A lot of people think if you have a lot of money, you're happy.
Yeah.
You and I know a lot of unhappy people who are very rich.
Yeah.
So money does not bring happiness, okay? So she taught, I'm the first one to say, without my wife, I would not be where I am today, okay? She managed our money very well.
Cheers to that,
she knows, the importance of buying real estates. She knows the importance of investment,
right?
Diversification.
Yep.
So there's so many things I learned financially from my wife. Without her, I would be lost. I won't say penniless, but I would have less money than I have now.
Hanging out at the UCLA cafeteria.
That's right. Eating their very good cafeteria food.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Our comrade here, our brother Wayne Chang, your fraternity brother, my fraternity brother, and the former managing director of prestige brands on the Hennessy side, chimed in, and he said he wants to know, you've got a wife and 3 daughters. What are your top 3 survival tips for navigating the world of women? And has it made you better with women or just better at surviving them?
I should have known. That's kind of question coming from Wayne.
It has to do with the English accent.
Yeah,
too, right?
British, yeah. And Wayne has 2 daughters himself, so
right.
He is trying to survive this. I really do believe that men and women are very different in many different ways. We are just wired differently. You know that book, Men are from Mars and Women from Venus?
Right.
I do agree, agree with that to a certain degree.
Valid points.
Okay.
Yeah.
Our biology is so different. Our makeup is so different. And, and our values are different. My wife loves to go shopping with the 3 daughters, and I would go with them, just want to hang out with the family, but after a while, I'm just done. I'm done. I can't. I can't go on. Okay.
Yeah,
now they would try to watch basketball with me, but they can only watch so much.
Right.
After a while, they're done.
First commercial break, they want to change channel.
Right? And I take them to Lakers game, paying thousands of dollars for Laker tickets, and they're just interested in which actors are in the
audience,
in the audience, right? That kind of stuff.
Okay.
So with daughters, you know what? I have many regrets in life, and I think first regret is I should have been more sensitive to their needs. Because I'm a rough, macho type of guy. And when you try to do that with your kids, especially daughters who are sensitive, and anything you say, they remember forever.
Oh, yeah.
They're not going to forget.
Loading that ammunition.
Oh, yeah. And they're going to say, Dad, 10 years ago, you said this. I was this. I'm like, I have no idea. They go, I remember.
Right.
And they will use it against you at the perfect time. So first advice is be gentle with the daughters.
Okay.
They're not like boys. No, boys, you say stuff, they're just like, whew, whew. Right. Girls, they take it to heart. Okay, so be gentle with them. Okay. 2, even though you don't want to do it, get interested in their activities.
Okay.
If they're interested in art, they're interested in shopping, whatever, just pretend like you're interested, even if you can't do it. And trust me, oh, I know so much about purses and dresses and makeup now.
Are we talking about daughters or dating, or is this all one and the same?
This is all one and the same. This is, this is one and the same.
All right.
So
Survival tips.
You really got to kind of develop interests where there are interests, or at least find common areas of interest, or things you can agree upon. Right?
Yeah.
And also remember, Wayne, I know it's hard for you to understand, but men are very different than women in terms of emotional connectivity and emotional needs. Okay. No, I didn't study women, but I know about the women biology, the monthly issues, the hormonal changes. And those are for real. Okay. And some women can become almost psychotic during certain periods of the month. Almost, I said almost. I did not say psychotic.
Yeah.
And you know what? You have to be sensitive to that. Okay? And also women, sometimes they say things, I don't know about your women out there, or not yours, but your wives, girlfriends, your women's circle. Sometimes they say things, you're just like, where did that come from? Right? But a lot of times, my friends out there, I don't take everything they said literally. I have women, not my wife, hopefully, or my kids, let's say, I hate you. But they hate you because they're mad at you. Right. And that's how they express the emotion. I hate you. Do they really hate me? Probably not. But they were just so upset with me at that moment that they would say stuff, like that. So I think emotionally, we need to be sensitive of when they are in their hormonal changes. We need to be sensitive to what they need. Also, there's a lot of cultural differences. Now, some of you have dated a lot of women, and there's a big difference between Western and Eastern women. Okay, and this is where Dr. Love comes in.
Tell.
Western women, they will come out and tell you exactly what they want and not. They're not going to hire around. They're going to say, I want this, I want this, I want that.
Yeah.
Some Asian women I know, they'll hint at you what they want, but they will not come out and tell you directly. So it's almost like guessing game. Yeah. What do they want to eat? Oh, I'm not sure. How about this? Oh, maybe not. How about that? Oh, I don't, And then I get frustrated sometimes. I just say, just tell me what you want and I will do it, right?
Right.
Versus a lot of my friends back in LA or back in Iowa, I want to go eat pizza. Let's go. I want to do this. I want to do that.
I need an extra taco right now.
Right. And I hate to say it's Asian, but some more conservative type of culture. They're much more meek and conservative, and you have to be able to read between the lines. And you, being partially Japanese, should be extremely knowledgeable about this, especially in the Japanese culture.
I'm knowledgeable that it exists. I'm not an expert at all. I fall on my face every time I go to Japan.
Right, and then there's a lot of passive aggressiveness.
Right.
There's a lot of aggressiveness, and you need to be mindful.
Yep.
I hate to say this, but a lot of guys are stupid. They're not mindful. They know what they want. They do it, but you gotta be able not read the girl's mind, but you gotta be a little bit sensitive to what they're telling you. You can't just go this and then go out the other ear.
That's tough.
You do that, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah, I mean, sidebar, there's probably about 30 different ways to say maybe in Japanese. You can be like, anone, anasa, adane, and spoiler alert, they all mean no.
Right.
They all mean no.
Right, and that's, right? So you got to learn that.
Yeah.
You have to learn, and you have to be sensitive to the culture where the women grew up.
Yes, absolutely. So while we're on that topic and we're having guest questions, I guess I'll jump over to another one. We have Mr. G from SF. He chimed in with a very similar question, so maybe you'll have a chance to dive in deeper here. He said, a lot of men I know say they can't find partners because most women are too emotional. But I suspect they mean I don't know how to engage with someone's emotional world without dismissing it as illogical. how do you help male patients or men in your life understand that emotions aren't just broken logic, they're different language entirely? And how did you learn that with your wife?
So women speak a whole different language than men.
Yeah.
Okay. And we almost have to like learn another language, women language. Biggest problem I see is a lot of men dismiss women's emotion as, like you said, illogical, nonsense. Just be logical. Why can't you be like me? Think logically. Relationship, in my mind, is a compromise. Okay. Marriage is difficult.
Right.
Marriage is not easy. Living with somebody 24/7 is extremely difficult. Okay. So a lot of times when I'm counseling or talking to different people about relationship, I'm saying you gotta be able to give and take. That's relationship. Give and take. That's what relationship means. It's not mean you listen to me all the time or I give in to you all the time. Okay. So for a man, in addition to just do some readings, you have to get in touch with your emotions a little bit. Guys in general say, I have no emotion. You do. You just block it up in a little box and let it out sometimes when it gets too much. Okay. So, if you really like a girl, you almost do anything for them, right? You almost do anything. But after a while, you kind of go, I can't do this anymore. Yeah. That tells you that maybe, it's not a two-way street. So relationship is a two-way street. That's the best way I can explain it. Okay. A lot of time, girls have their checklist. Guys have their checklist. They go, they only meet 15 of my 20 checklists. You know what? In my book, compatibility is so important. You have to be compatible. Okay. And compatibility in many different areas. Okay. My wife does not like sports at all, but I don't make her watch sports with me. I do my own sports, right? She loves shopping. I don't like shopping. I shop for myself sometimes. Yeah. So I'll go with her, go shopping and look for my own stuff. But so you got to know what your strengths and weaknesses are. Sure. We speak different language. Yeah. You have to understand that. And I think Hollywood actually paint an extremely inappropriate or not realistic picture. In my book, because I work with actors, actresses, and all that kind of stuff, there's always a happy ending. Love will conquer everything. And that's totally untrue at all. Okay? Trust me, love will only go so far. You can love somebody, but you know what? That flame, I don't know if you want to call it love or lust, will only last so long. Right. Okay? Yeah. Compatibility is much more important than this love will conquer our socioeconomic differences, our racial differences, our biological differences, or whatever. Love does not conquer everything in my book. Okay? There's so many different things. I have set up many couples, and actually 3 or 4 couples got married. Okay. Okay. Did I do an extensive psychological profile for both of them? No. I didn't do that. Sometimes they click, and you can't figure out why they click. Sometimes you figure, oh my God, they're perfect for each other. They don't click at all. Okay. Yeah. So chemistry makes a difference, but also compatibility in many different aspects of life makes a humongous difference. Sure. Remember, physical attraction will only go so far. And man, you see, in the past, now I'm gonna get in trouble for saying this, but in the past, physical attraction is extremely important for men. Yeah. If you look at all the surveys, men always put top of the list. They got to be hot. Yeah. But they forgot that they're not hot themselves. They're not. They want an 8 or 9, and themselves a 4 or 5. That's not plausible. That makes sense, right? And then depends on the culture that the women are from. Certain culture value things other than good looking. Status, money, power. For some women, that's more important than how good they look. Yeah.
You got to smell good too.
Yeah, you got to smell good. You got to be able to drive a Mercedes. You got to live in a nice place like this, that kind of stuff. So it's so interesting to me. Just talk about this relationship issues and love. Yeah. And go ahead, please.
What we're talking about is alignment, right? There's alignment of timing. There's alignment of values. There's many different types of alignment in relationships. The number one women's therapy question I looked up is, do I feel cared for and loved in my daily interactions, or do I feel disconnected and unhappy? And research shows that 60% of couples cite emotional distance as their core issue. As an addiction psychiatrist and somebody who's been married for over 30 years, how do you help partners move from just believing they're loved to actually feeling it?
Love is a word that's out there that you got to be able to experience yourself. Okay. However, in my mind, there's also a lot of dopaminergic activity involved, dopamine in your brain. Okay. So we all seen people in love and doing stupid things, like football player in love, wearing flowers in their ears, oh, I'm in love. Yeah, that's kind of like a biological dopamine high.
There's a facet, yeah.
There's a facet, right? But that eventually, dopamine only satisfies you for so long. Eventually you get used to it. Right. Okay. Yeah. So I think you and your partner, whether man or women, have to be emotionally and psychologically kind of connected to a certain degree. Okay. Some people's love language is, like, I know people in relationship, they never say they love each other, but they know because the husband provides, the husband take care, the husband knows what the wife likes and wants. Okay. So like in the Asian culture, parents never say I love you to their kids, but the kids know because they provide for the kids. They take care of the kids. They put kids at top priority. Okay. So in relationships, a lot of husbands actually feel like the wife don't love them anymore. You know why? Because the kids become much more important, right?
Yeah, they get the short end of the stick.
So the kids, number one, the dog, number two, and the husband end up maybe 3 or 4. So their major complaint is, my wife do not love me. And I said, well, how do you know? Because we don't have sex anymore. So they equilibrate sex equal love. Okay? And then when you talk to the wife, they say, my husband doesn't love me anymore. Why? He does not pay attention to me like he did before. Yeah. But you're a different stage of life. You're not courting anymore. When they're courting, you get flowers, you take them nice dinner, When they're married, when they have kids, what do the wife want? The wife wants you to help them do housework.
Or some peace and quiet.
Some dishes. Yeah. Take the kids out.
Yeah.
To them, that might be more valuable than flowers, than gifts, right? Yeah. So, but it's the key thing, again, in relationship is emotional compatibility, but also method of communication. Okay. I find that a lot of couples in therapy, because they have impaired communication skills.
And speaking along that route, speaking from a personal place as well, what are the biggest realizations that parents and kids can make while going through a parental divorce?
Oh, that's going to take another like 4 or 5 sessions.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean,
you get the credit cards out.
Yeah. Divorce, it's extremely impactful to the kids, especially when they're young, because the kids are going to say, I'm the reason why my parents got divorced. Even though majority of the time they're not the reason. Yeah. So they kind of internalize this whole process and blame themselves, as a reason for divorce. And then if the divorce is not amicable, a lot of time the kids become the tool for the parents to fight with each other. Power play. So it's interesting because you see a lot of divorced kids themselves end up divorced. Okay,
I always wondered about that.
Yeah,
that's
the
part
parents
of the genetics as well.
Well, you wonder if it's genetics or environmental. Okay, it's like a woman that marry alcoholic man or a man marry alcoholic woman. and they got traumatized, they got beat up, all this stuff. They finally got able to divorce their significant others. Guess what? Their next relationship, who they get involved with? Another person with alcohol problem.
Wow.
Yeah, if you look at most of the studies. Why? Because they feel comfortable. They're attracted to that same kind of chemistry, that same kind of aura. It's not like the fact they want to punch themselves, but somehow you talk to people. You talk to people that have been divorced 3 or 4 times. They will tell you, I can't believe I married the same kind of guy 3 or 4 times. I am a firm believer in therapy. I'm a firm believer in communication. Yeah. And if you really have to get divorced, try to be amicable and do not get the kids involved. Because a lot of time you try to win the kids on your side. You tell, mom did this or dad did this. That's the worst thing for the kids.
Speaking of relationship dynamics and balances, I think I want to delve in and know a little bit more. How much do hormones really play a part in women's behavior and their decisions? How can we best navigate the challenges between men and women's ways of problem solving, pragmatic versus, from the wide world of knowledge, most people say that men are pragmatic and women value being heard and listened to.
Okay. We already talked about the hormonal changes that women are undergoing. And I think it's, for guys, extremely hard to understand. Because they're just...
They show up as a different person
some
days, yeah.
But sometimes they're more sensitive. Other time, they can take your crap a little bit more, So I think hormones do play a major part in women's emotion. It's like guys joke about, beer goggles, right? When you're drunk, you start wearing beer goggles. Women, when there's certain time, they have hormonal glasses. So they see things differently. They feel things a little bit differently. Okay. Now, also once upon a time, you're laughing because you probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, also women, I just had talked to a friend of mine recently, 20 years ago, she wanted to get married by 30. She wanted to get married by 30 because she felt like she needs to get married by 30 so she can start having kids. Okay, so back then, that was a strong factor of women getting married before age of 30 or around 30 because they really want to have a family.
Yeah. Nowadays,
very different. You can fertilize, you can store your eggs, and a lot of companies actually are helping their employees to be able to store their eggs.
Oh, wow.
So they don't feel the pressure to get married so they can dedicate to work more.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So I think in general, at least from what I know, there's a little bit less pressure of women have to get married by 30. Okay. They can get married later. They can have kids later because they have eggs.
Right.
Okay. They don't even have to carry the baby themselves. They can have a surrogate. So
that's right.
Things are very different now. Okay. So, but again, men do not appreciate the hormonal impact that the women have to go through. Okay. And we need to be appreciative. There's certain women athletes that cannot play because of the cramp they're suffering from. Okay. Guys don't no clue about that. So, if you have to tiptoe around women during certain periods of time, you tiptoe it. You have to remember, they put up with your crap.
Right.
So you got to put up with their crap. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Eventually, they will get over it.
Let's hope. We can hope.
Keep your fingers crossed.
Yeah, keep your
now, I know if women are watching this, they're going to say, Dr. Tsuang's biased. But, I'm just trying to help, hopefully, some of the guys in the audience to try to kind of shift your mindset a little bit. And instead of being so practical all the time, you need to understand where women are coming from. And it's very hard to put a guy in women's shoes. Literally and figuratively.
Yeah. Unless you're in the U.S.
Yeah.
Speaking on that level of dynamics and makeups, breakups, we had one more question from Mr. W coming out of Singapore, and he asked, what are the do's and don'ts after a tough breakup? How does the brain work in these situations?
So remember, in your psychology class, there's what we call classical conditioning. I don't know if you guys remember that. Okay, so what they did was Pavlov Pavlov would set the light on and then put the steak out, and the dog would salivate. And then after a while, all we need to do is turn the light without the steak, and the dog will still salivate. So humans are very much like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing is, don't do a rebound.
Okay.
Do not do a rebound.
Easier said than done.
Very easy said. A lot of guys I know, they break up or they broke up with a girlfriend, they immediately jump on to another person. And guess what? They will say, oh, this person's so different. She's so different my previous one. That's a rebound, because that girl also have a lot of issues that you may or may not like. Okay? So I always tell people, please, just, if you're done with a relationship, avoid rebound or avoid keep on going back. If you already decided relapse, thank you.
Right.
Okay. And relapse happen very often because guys are horny. They need to go back and get that fix again. And then women, you know what women like to say. How do you capture a guy? Women like to say, you keep their tummy full, and then you keep them sexually happy. Guys are very simple. Those two things, a lot of time you can grab a guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All stereotypes are based in truth, right?
Yeah. But for women, it's very different. Okay. So if there's a reason that you break up, you need to understand the reason why you break up. And is it possible to reduce the friction that caused a breakup? If it's not possible, you need to go forward. But a lot of time, guys or women have problem going forward, and that's where they get into a rebound. I always believe in healthy habits or healthy pleasure. For example, I believe in, if you have a lot of free time, go work out. Go find a new hobby. Don't just dive into another relationship. We see all the time that people get out one relationship, get back into another one, and just keep on kind of repeat yourself. Try to avoid that kind of cycle. That's the most important thing. And then when when people are under influence of emotion, both men and women, you're illogical. You make stupid decisions. So you need to get away from that emotion a little bit.
Right.
Understand, for guys, it may be very difficult, but understand the reason why things did not work out. And then go forward and do different things. Nowadays, people meet on apps all the time. It's different than my days. We don't have apps. We don't have, it's so hard to meet people back then. Nowadays, so easy.
Right.
But the problem is people lie on their profile.
And they're never satisfied.
Right. They're never satisfied.
They just keep on swiping.
That's right. That's right.
To level up.
You keep on swiping, you're boosting your dopamine level. Okay. But at what level are you going to stop?
And living in a fantasy. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. It's funny. I ended up responding to Mr. W over there. I said, lately I've been trying to focus on putting myself in situations where I am around people that have mutually shared interests, and that is a much better way to make friends with people than going to the meat markets and the watering holes and things like that. You want to be around people that have shared values and shared interests. And so I said, the small habits, they compound. And this is, I'm not a doctor, and this is not medical advice, but I said, just keep the good habits going, and keep filtering through networks of places where people have shared mutual interests. And then I said also, don't marry the first fish you pull out of the mud. Literally the mud.
Out of the mud. Okay. Before we go on any further, there's a disclaimer. We talked about a lot of different things. Okay. Sure. These are not my medical advice, please. Do not quote me and say, Dr. Tsuang said this. And then, if good things don't happen, you get mad at me and come back and sue me, because this is not paid medical advice. Yeah. This is my perspective from many years of observing human behaviors.
Yes.
Okay. And also my personal interests, my little YouTube thingy, and despite my daughters make fun of me, say I'm just a legalized drug dealer. That's what they call me.
Oh wow! All right.
Legalized drug dealer.
I think Wayne said something about that too, but he was just joking.
He better be joking. But I'm very good with using medication. However, when it's not a time for medication, there's really no overprescribe.
Yeah.
And a lot of doctors do overprescribe medication.
Right.
So just let you know, a good psychiatrist do not always have to start you on medication. Sometimes they do therapy, refer you somebody, for couple therapy or whatever.
Sure.
But medication will not solve everything. Although sometimes you do need to be on medication.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe you need a lot of medication.
Maybe.
It's kind of like money doesn't buy happiness, but maybe a lot of money buys happiness.
To a certain degree.
I joke.
I wouldn't know about that because I don't have a lot of money.
Right. Just yet.
Not like you.
Oh,
okay.
no.
Anyways.
Come on now.
Okay.
Yeah. So, to close things out, your father is being honored. Dr. Ming Tsuang is being honored this week at Taiwan's premier science research institution, Academia Sinica, during a mental and brain sciences symposium. He's published over 600 papers in his field of genetics, and he's even been honored by Qin Jianren, the former VP of Taiwan, who is now post-elect president at the academic institution. Now that you're seeing your dad's legacy unfold at that scale, and you're closing out your own chapter at UCLA, would you consider continuing in any way through that legacy of your father, not just as through research, but through your own vision? What do you still want to accomplish that goes beyond what he did?
First of all, it's incredible what my dad has done. In terms of 600 publications. You said that it's incredible that what my dad did in his academic career. There's no way that neither me, my sister can match that type of career. However, I want to, continue his legacy in terms of what he has contributed to the world, but also to Taiwan. Okay, he is 15, 20 years ago. He was one that came to Taiwan and said, "You need to start investigating AI and start doing, work in AI." Because Taiwan needs to have certain type of technology to be able to be well known in the world.
That's right.
Right? I want to continue my dad's legacy in terms of, continue on a yearly basis to have these type of symposium. We already dedicated a scholarship to University of Iowa for people that graduate #1 and for the best researcher is in residency. So we want to establish a foundation here in Taiwan, and I hope to dedicate some time in doing that because, like I said, my dad always taught me you got to give back to the society. So I want to give back to the society. I didn't do it like the way my dad did in terms of his research, but I can give back to the society in a lot of other manners. For example, education about mental health, education about addiction, not only to Taiwan, but Japan, Hong Kong, China, Korea, just educating people. Depression doesn't mean, you can just get out of it. Schizophrenia is not like they're bad people. They have a biochemical problem. Okay. And then they need to be treated and they can get better. I have tons of patients in the US who are doing well, who you never think they had episodes of depression or mania, who may or may not be on medication, but I was able to help them restore their life and they're now living a happy, fulfilling life. So I want to break this barrier of that they think mental disorder is non-treatable or they're bad people. Okay, I also want to break the barrier of people with addiction, they're just bad. Some people with addiction actually have neurochemical abnormalities. Okay, they need to be treated, not because they're bad, because there may be some abnormal genes that they inherited, or there's some bad things happen in their life that impacted them to become what they are today. Okay, and I think, I want to see good in people. In my mind, there's nobody that born and said, I want to be bad. But maybe because of the environment or the genetics, they start doing bad things. Okay, but hopefully people have a conscience that they know what's right and wrong, and eventually they want to do the right things.
Yeah, they have a North Star. And on that, we thank you, Dr. J.T. Love, my brother, for being here today. You are a wonderful gift to our friend circle and to the world. You humanize a lot of concepts that are harder to reach and oftentimes too highbrow. I love that we can hang in all different kinds of scenarios, and I look forward to many more.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, brother.